Welcome back to Faith and Fire. I am beyond excited about today's topic because it speaks to the core of what I'm up to in life. If you've ever started a business, a new venture, or even just took the first step towards pursuing your passion, you know that it takes a lot of faith and a lot of guts to be an entrepreneur in any sense of the word. So today, we're going to talk to some entrepreneurs about that, and we're going to find out what does it take to set aside your fear and chase a vision that may not seem clear to others. What does it take to make that leap of faith, and how does faith play into your journey as a business owner, and how do we have a responsibility as people of faith to show up in a certain way, or do we? So I have the pleasure today of speaking with three women who are living their dreams. And we're going to talk about all of those topics today. So with me today, I have Joi Whitley, I have Chef Asia Prince, and I have Shari Sims. So Shari Sims is the owner of Luxe to Lowkey. She is a spiritual yogi. Asia Prince is a Christian head chef and owner of Seasoned Poetically. And Joi Whitley is a small business advocate and owner of Anointed Hands. Welcome, ladies.
Yay.
Yay.
All right. Thank you.
Stoked to be here. So excited to talk to you today. And first, I just want to get a sense of what you do, where you're at. So each of you took that first step to start your businesses. So talk to me a little bit about what it took, what kind of faith was involved in that journey. What did it take to go past fear and take that first step? And Joi, I'll start with you.
I say it took failure.
Ooh.
It took failure. I had to fail at what I thought was my dream. And I think I always thought I would be some financial analyst. Like, I thought I would become wealthy working in like a Fortune 500 company or something like that. But it took me failing at that. My last position working for WP Carey School of Business, I was working with the professional MBA program. Mm-hmm. So just trying to leave that job as I was going through a separation and divorce, in which I love the job, but just now being a single mom, it didn't work for me working all of those hours and, trying to take care of my kids. Mm-hmm. So failing, getting referrals from my MBA students who were all CEOs, professional MBA students, going to interviews, not securing anything. It led to me to just have a little bit of faith and say, you know what, I don't got another job. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm going to take this business and make it a full-time thing. I'm going to stop interviewing, stop looking for these companies to help me and just maybe try to help myself. So the failure in that is what, man, it really just helped me grow.
Yeah, so you had to fall off the corporate ladder in order to really climb.
Definitely, yes.
Okay. I love it. Okay, Ms. Joi, so Chef Asia, tell us what about your journey?
Okay, so I have a similar story to Ms. Joi right here. I would say pain. So like her, I was going through a divorce, and I'm also active duty military. So I was in the military going through a divorce, and I was trying to figure out life. Mm-hmm. And I knew I had to figure out what I was good at. And I prayed on it, and I said, God, please show me my gifts. I was always a braider and did stuff with my hands, but I just needed something that I could do that it could also involve my kids. I had 2 little kids at the time. So I had a guy at work actually come up to me and said, hey, like, you're going through a lot. I can tell. Like, what do you like to do? And I was like, oh, I can do this. I can do that. He said, can you cook? And I said, yeah, I can cook. He said, literally, and he was my commander. He said, I need you to make me a slab of ribs, some baked beans, and some macaroni and cheese.
Ooh.
I said, I can do that. So the next, I went home, I made it, I took it to work. And from that point on, I was like the POC for every cooking event on base. And just like that, like, it just was created,
Yeah.
And I thought Seasoned Poetically just went so great because I'm a poet too. And so I figured it just all rolled together. But I will tell you that the pain that I went through brought me to joy. It brought me happiness. So I'm thankful for it.
That is so beautiful. So Asia, I need you to make me a slab of ribs, some baked beans, and some macaroni and cheese.
Trying to make us all hungry.
Order in now.
Me too.
Got y'all. So I love that we're starting out with this. So one of our other conversations that we're having is around divorce. And so in that conversation, I think we really explore what does it take to heal? And it almost sounds like the healing process, not only does it repair, but it just takes you that next step further. So I can't wait to talk about that in our next episode. But I wanted to tease that a little bit since you hit on that here.
Yes.
Beautiful. Okay, Miss Shari Sims.
My story could not be more opposite.
Okay, perfect.
I was, always just had a job, just a regular job, and always like kind of looking and searching and, what's my thing? And I got a job working at a wellness center, and that's really where I became super exposed to a lot of esoteric healing modalities. And when I moved, I met my spouse. And he basically was like, I don't want to do long distance. And I was living in LA at the time. I was kind of fed up with the rat race of living in LA. So I took a leap of faith and I moved out to Arizona. We'd only known each other a couple of months. But we decided to just give it a go. And I was like, oh man, I don't know anybody here. So I went to the local yoga studio and they were like partway through their yoga teacher training. At that point, I'd been practicing for a long time. So I took the training just to meet people and, just kind of get involved in the community. And I mean, it was probably just a couple weeks in where I realized like, oh, wow, I feel like I could do this. Like the call to teach was so strong, which really shocked me because I didn't go into it with that in mind at all. It was very much just like, I need to get out of the house, kind of lost in Arizona. And so it kind of took like a lot of space all of a sudden. Like I didn't have that 9 to 5 running around. I had all this space and like the universe just immediately rushed in to fill it with this like new calling, and the call to teach and share this practice has never diminished.
Mm-hmm. Wow. And I love that you said the calling, because I think it's really interesting. Your journey, I would consider your business really related to your faith in some ways. Mm-hmm. And it's funny because it reminds me of one of my favorite comedians, Angela Johnson. She has this skit where she talks about being a comedian, a Christian comedian, right? Mm-hmm. And so she talks about the difference because she's like, I'm a comedian that's Christian, but I'm not a Christian comedian. So I don't have jokes that are like Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Super hilarious, right? But it really got me thinking like, okay, I may be a business myself, but I'm not a Christian business, but I am a business owner that is Christian. And kind of that distinction between having that business related to your faith or being a person of faith that has a business. So I'm curious, as someone who has probably a business related to their faith, how does that show up differently for you?
It's unusual in that I wouldn't consider myself the most traditional yogi. I eat meat. I drink alcohol.
Wait, hold on. We didn't discuss this in our episode on faith. Yogis don't eat meat?
Yeah. So one of like the first like commandments is non-harming. And one of the main things about that is like you don't eat animals, like you don't harm animals.
Shari, I don't think I can be an unofficial yogi anymore.
Well, I'm a yoga teacher and I am a yogi, but I eat animals. I really, so it's something that I've struggled with, like just like how do I show up as myself? But something that I've talked about, and it comes up a lot like in the community, is like, I wasn't a yogi. I wasn't born in India, and so I came into it much later in life. So these are just like, it's a different way of life for me. So coming into it, you can make allowances. So that's one of the allowances that I've had to like learn to be okay with, is the fact that I am a meat eating yogi. And I just had to learn to be okay with that. But, I just feel like it's so, like you said, it's so closely related to like who I am. And so I think there's also this like, people expect a certain thing when you think of a yoga teacher, like you expect them to look a certain way, act a certain way, and I just don't feel like I really fit into any of the boxes. So, even though they're like the same thing, it's really challenged me a lot to really figure out who I am as a person and allow myself to just like show up authentically in my teaching and not like become this like yoga parrot just because these are the things you're like, supposed to say, supposed to think. Like I've really had to like drill down. What do I believe? And yeah, so just finding that balance.
You found a way to show up authentically with your faith.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah.
So for you ladies, how closely ingrained is your faith into your business? Are they separate? Are they intertwined? Talk to me about it, Joi.
I went through before I started this full-time entrepreneurship journey, I went through wanting to change my business name because the name of my business is Anointed Hands Tax. Mm-hmm. And I began to feel like I'm not always walking in the anointings. Ooh. So I didn't want people to think, because the business is called Anointed Hands Tax, that it's a Christian-based business. Because back then I was going to the strip club. I was living my life, but I'm still walking in the anointings, but I did not want people to confuse that if the business owner, she out twerking, doing her thing, having fun. So I wanted to change the name of my business. And I went through that because I really wanted to ensure that it was separate. I wanted my faith to definitely be a part of the business and included in the business name. But I did not want to be labeled as a Christian-based business. And I was just based on my views, and I wouldn't consider myself a Christian. Mm-hmm. I'm Christ-like, but sometimes there's a lot of negative connotation to being a Christian, and it can be very excluding. I'm very inclusive. Everybody's included. We show up in the LGBTQ community like nobody. They support Anointed Hands Tax because my business is truly inclusive and includes all. So COVID is what allowed me to keep the name. As I was going through that, COVID happened. People didn't want to leave home, but I started getting all of these new clients that didn't know me at all, just based on the strength of the name of my business, Anointed Hands Tax. They had a certain level of trust in not knowing me, but just sending me information. Yeah. So that was my confirmation from God that, nope, keep this business name, girl. Keep doing your thing the way you're doing it, and the right mission will come. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I definitely see that. I think there's a level of trust, a level of just a bar that's already there, and when it's another person of faith, right? Mm-hmm. And it gets back to the first thing you said, which is around expectations. They can be a beautiful thing and they can also be a challenging thing. Mm-hmm. So people come with their expectations, and sometimes that means they're going to come to you because of that expectation. And sometimes that means people are going to be repelled. Mm-hmm. And so it's really important, especially I love that you hit on that point. It came up a lot in our conversation around what does it mean to be a person of faith, is there's various brands of faith, and Christianity is one of those brands that is just, there's an end to end. And one of the raps that extreme Christianity is getting is around not being inclusive and not being loving anymore, which is so counterintuitive, but it's interesting that there's that reputation out there. And so when you look at how strongly expectations show up before your business does, it's something to consider.
Definitely.
Yeah. So, Chef Asia,
yes, ma'am.
Tell us a little bit about how faith has shown up in your journey.
So, I will tell you guys, growing up as a kid, we didn't go to church every Sunday, things like that. To be completely honest, majority of my family is of Islamic faith. So, there's a little bit of I don't want to say a battle between the family, but, it might be a little bit of a battle between the family. Like, don't eat that pork chop. What are you doing? But, I just so happen to love pork chops, right? And I like ribs. So, there's that. But as far as the business, again, like I said, I was going through something that was so painful, not only for me, but for my children, that, it's like they say, God has a funny way of working on you and humbling you. And when I was going through everything and I was just praying for peace, He showed up each and every single time. And I didn't realize it at first. So throughout this whole journey, like whenever I couldn't provide, whenever I couldn't do anything, He hit me with an order. He hit me with something. And when you're going through these things, you don't realize that it's God at first. Right? Yeah. And then as time goes on and you look back, you're like, man, He never left me. So just like those footprints in the sand where it was 2 and then it was 1, that's what my journey has been like. I started out with these 2 footprints in the sand, and as time went on, I realized He started to carry me through. Yeah. So whoever you may pray to, that's who I'm talking about. I'm a Christian, but I say whoever you may pray to, that's that's what I can say. He carried me through.
I absolutely love that because it's really a story of how God used your business as a vehicle to bless you.
Yes.
That is so beautiful. I love that.
Thank you.
Ladies, I can already tell we're going to have a good conversation here. So I'll start with you, Chef Asia. I really want to understand, as you were going through, I know that it started from a place of hurt and a place of healing when you started your business. Are there times when your faith was tested with your business? It sounds like God showed up for you. Are there times where you're like, hello, is this thing on?
Yes. So, again, like I told you guys, I'm active duty military, and, me being the cook on base, everybody knew me. That girl that cooks is what they call me, that little girl that cooks. And, I got told one day I couldn't cook on base no more. And I was like, what? Why not? Well, if you cook on base, you got to pay this person and pay that person. And now you can't do it because of this, that, whatever. And majority of my customers were on base. Mm-hmm. So I really was like, well, you know what? What am I going to do? Do I just meet them outside the gate? Like, what are we going to do? Come drive outside the gate and come get this food, right? So I went through a time period where I was like, you know what? I don't know what to do or how I can do this. So I took a pause. And because I still love to cook, I started doing teaching. I started teaching people across the base or whoever wanted to learn how to cook. I taught them how to take $20 and feed 4 people, not 40.
I was like, people. I need that lesson.
I was about to be like Jesus turning the bread and feeding everybody, right?
Did you got the wine too?
I wish, right? So no, I taught them to take $20, feed 4 people in 30 minutes. That was my thing. And I started making little recipes and handing them out to people. And that still gave me the joy because cooking helped me. That was my release. So when I stopped doing it, I had to figure out a way to still do it and get that same satisfaction, even though I wasn't getting paid.
Yeah.
So yes, I'm no longer working in that capacity anymore. Mm-hmm. However, they offered me to come back once a month and still cook and teach.
Nice.
And so I'm still doing that. So
some people are going to hit you up after this and say, now, Chef Asia, I need to know how to feed 4 people.
I'm one of them.
Come on, it's easy. I can tell you how to do it.
I don't know how to feed one person for $20 anymore because at restaurants, even a burger costs like $8.
Mm-hmm. I got to give all credit to Josephine Smith. My mom, it goes back from when you were a kid, they knew how to take everything and make it stretch, right? Yes. So it's all in that, and it's all in the love you put in it.
Yes. Yeah. I love that. Okay. So we got 2 other stories. I know it. I feel it in my soul. I hear you. And a lot. So I'm going to go to you next, Joi. And I want to hear a little bit about how you've been tested and your faith's been tested in your business.
Listen, I'm still being tested. I think going through this journey, God has showed me that there's always going to be a test, and how you just come out on top and how you never doubt and how you believe in me even more through these tests. I always realize that's the lesson in it all. So I'm still being tested, but as I grow in my business, I look at it differently. I can think of being early in the game and just not getting paid for services, and being upset about it. But I had to take some accountability in my operations. So every time I would get frustrated and begin to feel like, I don't want to do this no more. This ain't for me. No, this person playing. I would always go to God in those moments. And it's like he would show me where I needed improvement. And it was always a lesson in every situation. To now, here I am. I'm tested daily, but I already know. I've been there, done that, and I'm hopping over them these days. So it's a daily test, I'll say, but just that allows my faith in God to just be even stronger. When I pass the test, he always showed me something extravagant. Show me this is what I needed from you. I need to get your attention. I got it. You passed that test. Now look what I have for you.
I feel like I just imagine you wearing the shirt that says, "Don't try me, try Jesus."
Period. That is who I am. Yes.
Oh my goodness. Oh, that is just the headline for that story right there.
Yes.
So I feel like you told us a little bit about how your trials have come into play. Some of them even just related with your own personal dealing with, I'm in a very faith-based role in my business and I may or may not be
The poster child.
the poster child. I don't know if any of us are the poster child for whatever. So that's a whole nother conversation around shouldn't on ourselves.
Yeah, truth.
But how is your faith been tested throughout this journey with your business?
Many ways. I mean, I feel like coming from, taking care of myself for, most of my adult life, moving to Arizona, now I'm in a relationship, like there's not a lot of money to be made in teaching yoga. Just FYI for anyone out there who's thinking about it.
It's not like winning the lottery.
Nope. There's definitely a lot of misconceptions, or like, there's more like this like idea that like, oh, you're a yoga teacher. So like, you're doing it for, just for your own personal whatever. So we shouldn't have to pay you very much. And like, there's just like a lot of like misconceptions in the community, but there's also the side of thing, like back in the day, like you're the yoga teacher in the community was supported. Like you came to that person and you fed them and you housed them like as a community. And then you got the lessons. So there's always been an exchange of some sort. So it's not something that like you just do for free, and it is your time. So one, that was something that I had to like be okay with, like charging for this. It felt weird. Like it felt wrong. But like you're saying, like getting paid for your services. So one of it being like a self-worth thing. So that was a test, like I am worth it. Like the imposter syndrome, like do I know what I'm talking about? Apparently I do. That was one thing. And then also just like the putting yourself out there, and like it's a very like revealing, vulnerable thing to stand in front of a room of people. And, one, physically, like as a woman who's always had like issues with her weight, to be like in the quote unquote like health and wellness and like fitness community, there's a lot of like, well, why do you have body fat? You're a yoga teacher. Like, okay. I'm also a 36-year-old woman. Yes, I have body fat. Like it is what it is, And then recently I started teaching on YouTube, which is like a whole new level of putting yourself out there and vulnerability and like feeling exposed. And like every time it just comes back to like my ego and the lessons that yoga has for us. And then the way that, you are to put all that aside. You're meant to put your attachments aside. You're meant to put your desires aside. So it's interesting being like in my business is my faith. And so I just have to have faith that like what is meant for me will come. And maybe it's not monetary gain, because it hasn't been. Okay. Maybe it's not monetary gain, but like I have learned so much as a person, and where I really, the most amazing thing about it has been like people telling me like, thank you for what you do. And like, that is more valuable than anything else. So every time like I am tested, I'm like, why am I doing this? Like, like I have those moments, and then I'll have someone come to me and be like, I just went to my doctor and he couldn't believe the change in me. I couldn't believe the change in my mobility, my this, my that, because I mainly work with seniors.
Yeah.
So like, I'm working with people who are like 70, 80, and they're coming to me and they're like, I used to be able to lift my arm 3 inches and now I can lift my arm all the way over my head. Thank you. And I'm like, cool.
Yeah.
So, there's just like every time that I run into those walls, I'm like, no, it's just your ego getting in the way. It's just your ego telling you like, you should be this, you should be that. Why aren't you Instagram famous? Why aren't you teaching at the big festivals? Like, blah, 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 all these things. But like at the end of the day, like none of that stuff really matters. And like when I finish a class, like I'm filled with like the deepest sense of gratitude that I've like ever experienced, and the deepest sense of peace and purpose. And so I know I'm doing the right thing, and just keep going.
Wow. That is so centering. Like it's more than just the money.
Yeah.
Although you definitely need to pay your mortgage. They get upset when you don't.
They don't like that.
But there's so much more to it. And I heard it in multiple stories, right? So Chef Asia, you were talking about that fulfillment and joy of being able to feed people, which I feel joy when you feed me also. So it's mutual. And Shari, we were talking a little bit about just being able to help people, seniors especially, a population where people maybe don't take the time.
No. Yeah.
That's beautiful. And then Joy, I know your accounting services, because some of us don't math real good. As I like to say.
Most of us are afraid of it, but I love just being that resource for my communities because I love it. It's a passion. And like Shari and Chef Asia, it's the joy you feel after doing and giving that what you enjoy doing, giving it out for others to be successful. It's like that's the feeling when someone just, like she said, when someone says, "Oh my God, it's like the happiest thing when I'm working with my clients and they are telling me, "Oh my God, I got it for the first time. I understand you broke it down for me." That's the joy in it all for me. Like that's that's happier than any money.
That's beautiful. Okay. So I want to get a sense of what entrepreneurs listening to this could get out of it, but I would love to give some context. So tell us, I want to go around each of you. I would love to know a little bit about what exactly is your business. We know what your business is, but like, what's the name? How long has it been around? So, if folks are looking at, do I want to listen to her advice or not? They could Google you real quick, look you up on Instagram, and be like, oh yeah, okay. She's sound.
Yeah, so my business is Anointed Hands Tax II, Inc. I started Anointed Hands Tax in 2012. Just started it as a side hustle. I was still in college going to Arizona State, studying, thinking I was going to be an eye doctor, chasing the money. My final year in college, actually, I also was pregnant. I became a mother. So before then, I was never doing my own tax returns. I was the dependent. After having my daughter, I had to do my own tax return for the very first time, and I did it on my own. I used TurboTax. It took me 3 days, but I read everything. I did the math. I was just reading, calculating, taking notes, doing what I learned how to do as a college student. And that is when it was that aha moment for me, like, this is what I need to be doing because I'm arising at an understanding in doing this. I get it. I get the numbers. I could teach this to people. This is a way to be the teacher I always wanted to be and make money at the same time. Because I only didn't become a math teacher because of the money. I was chasing optometry because I needed to get paid. But we've been around for a long time now. We hit the 11-year anniversary this year. And we've grown from there. I started at doing personal tax returns for years. And then 2016 was the very first year I began doing corporate returns. And that just came from me learning. My very first job after college, I was a personal banker at Wells Fargo. And I worked with the small business, the merchant accounts. So I would look at these accounts all day and I began to realize like, oh my God, this is the population that needs the help. Just trying to help these clients understand their account. Some people would come in there, they started the day with 10,000, now they're negative 7,000, and they need to understand why. So that was another aha moment for me of saying, you know what, we're going into the business world. So since 2016, educating small business owners to the point now we primarily, 75% of our clients are small business owners, own a corporation, or they're self-employed of some sort. Because education is the passion. So I even tell clients when coming to Anointed Hands Tax, if you're just looking for someone to give your paperwork, not listen to the numbers, I'm not the right accountant for you because I'm truly an educator first.
Yeah.
So we've been educating, and that's what I like to consider. I hate even saying accountant because I want people to understand that I'm an educator. I'm here to teach. So we've been teaching. We've been doing this for 11 years. We've grown now. I was a one-man operation show doing 600 tax returns alone. 2021 was my first year. I hired my virtual assistant. And to where I am now, I have a team of 8.
Wow.
I got a team of 8, and we're it's the growth. The faith is definitely just even watching it flourish and just watching my business grow. I know that's God.
Yeah. That's so beautiful. Well, congratulations on hitting 11 years this year.
Thank you.
That's wonderful. And I love what you said around the making money. It's that mortgage motivation. I feel like that needs to be on a t-shirt.
The mortgage motivation. That's it.
That's a good one.
So when y'all see that on a t-shirt later, I'm going to need you to go ahead and scoop that up.
That's a good one.
Awesome. So Chef Asia, tell us a little bit about your business.
Okay. So I started my LLC. It's called Seasoned Poetically LLC. I started it in 2018. And to be honest, y'all, I was 100% a kitchen chef, right? So being on base, you know, you see most military people, they work out, they're buff. So people think, you know, not all of us really are. But I was like, hey, you know, I was asked, can you do meal preps? And you know, my ex-husband, I hated doing his meal preps. I'm just going to tell y'all right now. He would ask me, I'm like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to cook ground turkey all day, right? But, you know, I knew how to do it. I had the scale. I had everything. I'm counting macros. I'm doing all kind of stuff, right? So I was like, you know what? I could do this. So I started out just doing that. And then I became a personal chef. So I do catering services too, but mainly I'm a personal chef. I travel. Over the past 2 years, I have been so blessed to be able to travel all around the United States, to include Hawaii, to go and cook for people.
Yeah, I love watching your Facebook page. I'm like, what is she doing now?
Yes, I'm all over. Last weekend, for the past 2 weekends, I went to Dallas and I was able to bless a church out there and go ahead and cater some events for them. But the services I provide, you know, like I said, are meal prep, catering, personal chef. And like she said, like Joi said, you know, I started out just me. It's still just me cooking. So if you get food, it's going to come directly from my hands. I'm going to make it. My daughter is 10% owner of my business. I wanted to be able to give her something. My son is a little bit mad about that, but my daughter, she is 10% owner of Seasoned Poetically, and she helps with whatever catering that I have to do. And if I am hired as a personal chef and I need her assistance, I will bring her. I was able to hire 2 servers as well. So that has been a blessing. Baby steps, right? Yes. So it's been a blessing because, you know, like some of you guys said before, people don't like to pay for food, right? They don't. They think, you know, the days of, what is it, $6 for wings and fries are over, right? And people don't know that, right? People don't understand that. So being able to manage that and also have workers has been a challenge. Joi, I'm going to talk to you later about this money thing. But I'm blessed in it. But yeah, that's pretty much my business.
Yeah, $6 only buys you about a carton of eggs these days. That's what you could get for $6.
Chicken wings are $20-some.
Right.
I tell people.
And I love chicken wings. It's killer.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that you turned it into a family business and you created generational wealth, which is something I'm extremely passionate about. Yes. So I love hearing about your daughter being a part owner. I don't know that I knew that about you. I'll have to congratulate her when I see her. Yes, so that's really cool. And you said that you make it with your hands, but I've tasted your food. It's amazing. And you definitely put your foot in it. So we can argue later about which part.
Listen, I've had it and it's her foot and a whole lot of love. I eat her food and I'm just, it's the satisfaction. I feel
Smothered
it all over my
chicken.
body. You know how you just get relaxed? Ooh, red beans and rice. I'm thinking about that last event.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to cook for y'all.
Yep.
Rasta pasta. Ooh, that rasta
with
pasta was
it was fire. And I don't do spice. I have a bad case of sissy mouth, y'all. But when I tasted it, I was like, oh, this is so good. Where's the water? Okay, where is more? It is so good.
I have not had
delicious.
the pleasure.
I'm gonna have to bring me some. Rasta pasta is like one of my number one sellers.
Oh, how
actually.
have I been missing this?
You know, we have to add it to the menu. I think we should add an island flair.
Yes.
Okay.
Done and done. I'll have Ruby call you on Monday.
Yes. Yep. We need to add that. I think so.
Perfect. Okay, Miss Shari, tell us a little bit about your journey.
Sure. So like I said, I did not go into yoga, like teacher training, wanting to teach at all. I mean, I've been practicing yoga since 2006, like regularly. I had done yoga prior, but it was more like gym yoga. Like, what is this all about? I don't know. And then I started working at that wellness center. And then I started trying all the things. And I was like, felt really called to it and started, going to the Vedanta Center in Los Angeles. And I started studying like the texts and the scripture and the sutras and all those things. So I started teaching 2016. So, 7 going on 8 years now. I was teaching full time in the West Valley. So, I was working for the Stray Mountain Community College. I was working for the Wigwam. I was working for Pebble Creek. I was volunteering. I was running all over town. I was working for multiple gyms. So it was just like all day, every day. And I got really burnt out.
Yeah.
I got really burnt out by that. And it happens very common amongst yoga teachers because people get paid like $25 a class. So you have to teach
a lot
of classes. Okay.
for that mortgage motivation.
Correct. So it was a lot. So when COVID hit, all that stopped. My whole schedule just evaporated overnight. And it was really like, I mourned the loss of my community. I mourned the loss of my job. I mourned the loss of what had become like a big part of my identity. And I held on to one class teaching my seniors on Zoom. So I still did that. And then last year, or a couple of years ago, like things started opening back up, but I'd had a lot of time to think. I also lost my mom early on during COVID. So, I wasn't in a good place to go back and be in front of people and be that for people. And I feel like when I teach, I am channeling. Like I go elsewhere. I don't plan my classes. I walk into the room, I feel the energy, I see who's there, I vibe out what they need, and then I just channel. And I just was like, everything was fuzzy. So it took a while. And then the only class that I kept and that I'm still teaching live in person are my seniors. I do a back-to-back with them. And it's just a very special space. And we've been together now for 7 years and the same people, for a long time. It's like a really tight-knit community. It's cool. I love it. I enjoy it. And so, but I felt like I wanted to like reach more people. So I kind of took that leap and I started teaching on YouTube. So I have a YouTube channel. It's called Luxe to Lowkey. And you might be like, what is this Luxe thing? Like, I don't get it. So the other love of my life is fashion.
Did y'all know that about Shari?
No.
Yes. I love luxury fashion. And I love a good deal. So I am a luxury deal hunter and I get the steals. Let me tell you. So there's a whole new direction that I'm kind of like working my way through. I'm trying to figure it out. I don't know how it all goes together, so maybe y'all can help me. But I've done a little bit of personal shopping. And I got $1,000 Bottega and Veneta belt for $130 the other day. Getting the Fendi, the Chloe, the Gucci, all of it. So it's also like kind of a
Y'all didn't know Shari don't play.
Am I just hearing about this? Why?
Yes. So subscribe to my YouTube channel because
Luxe, what is it?
Luxe to Lowkey. So Luxeto and then the Lowkey, because the yoga part is the Lowkey. I'm real low key about my style, but then on the other end of it, I can really turn it up. So
she's asking about the YouTube. I want to know when we can go shopping. When are you free?
That part. And you know what you have to do?
I'm ready to go.
She's got an amazing class that she curated that's all about fashion and
personal
design, personal style. So we did one at Vibe Spot. We hosted a workshop and it was everything I've ever needed in my life.
Oh my goodness.
My shirt is tucked in today because of Shari Sims and I learned about the 2/3 rule.
Yeah.
And that I wasn't supposed to be chopping my body in half like that. And that's why I had looked like a linebacker.
Oh, so I need help.
Yes.
My back is getting wide.
So, the proportion, the balance, the fit, the cut, I love beautiful things. I just love beauty. So I've always been a painter, a poet, a singer. I was in musicals. Like I grew up singing. I love to sing. And so like fashion is like an extension of that. And so it's two things that I get really excited about. Like I talk about yoga and faith all day, but girl, if you want to talk about clothes and shoes and bags and belts, I'm your girl. So
I feel like we're all going to ambush her after the episode.
Afterwards, I'm already ready. Like mental note, let's get started with Shari. Okay.
That's awesome. Perfect. Oh, goodness. So you really spoke a little bit about exhaustion and that season of exhaustion and fatigue, which is so so prevalent in the entrepreneurship community. We will work ourselves into the ground if you let us.
Yeah.
And so I'm really curious, when you recognize, first of all, what did it take to recognize you were in that season? And then once you recognize, how did you get yourself out of that cycle?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I was starting to feel like a little bitter, and that's never like I said, I channel when I teach. So when I started to feel like this is a chore, I'm feeling really blocked. I don't want to do this. I was like, I can't show up like this. Like, this is not what I would want walking into a space where I'm looking for guidance. Like, I'm people's therapist, doctor, like, my arm hurts. What can I do? This is going on in my life. What can I do? And I'm like, you need to talk to your therapist and you need to talk to your GP. But let me walk you through this class and we'll come out the other side feeling better.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, I wasn't loving it. And so I needed to take a break, and I did not create COVID, but I was begging for a break. And then the universe was like, pull the plug on your whole life.
So it wasn't the animal in China. It was Shari.
Yeah.
Shari
Sorry,
needed
guys.
a break.
I needed a break. Shut the world down. But yeah, no. And I know that's not like plausible or reasonable for anybody to just like, okay, well, just go, don't do anything.
Yeah.
But that's what I needed. And I got it in a big way. Also, I was healing from my mom's death. So it was just like, she died of a heart attack. So it was really sudden. Yeah. So it's like grieving my mom, grieving my business, like my whole life, my community. I'm like, what is happening? And it's funny because like you talk about faith and being challenged and faith being my business. Like, I needed my faith more than ever to get through the loss of all of that. So in a way, it like reignited my like deep passion for it, because I got a chance to, one, step back, but two, re-immerse myself in what it was that really drew me to it and has kept me practicing yoga every day for almost 20 years. So yeah, that's what happened.
That's such a beautiful story. I feel like oftentimes we talk about the negative things that were created because of COVID or the pandemic. But there's a lot of stories around beauty and what people create out of that and how they explored themselves. They took a long, hard look in the mirror because they couldn't leave their house and there were mirrors everywhere. And they said, is this the life I want to be living? Is this how I want to show up every day? And it gave people an opportunity to really reevaluate and make some decisions around what they wanted for their lives. So I love that that's how it showed up for you. And it sounds like even though it was a painful journey, in the end, it was really beautiful and it played out nicely. I like to think, because of my faith, that there was a master plan at play.
There was. And also, just side note, it was also where I reignited my passion for getting dressed.
Okay.
Coming, because literally if you're a yoga teacher, you leave the house in yoga pants every day, all day. There's no opportunity to wear real clothes. So coming out of that and not having that anymore, all of a sudden I'm like, pants with buttons, shirts with buttons, blazers, high heels. So, it was a twofold situation. It also allowed me to like really like you said, take a step back and be like, I used to be a girly girl. Where did she go? Like, let's find her and go shopping.
That is one way COVID was the opposite for you.
Yes. Everyone was like sweatpants. And I was like, no way. I'm done with leggings. Never again.
Yeah. So it's really interesting because y'all know a little bit about my journey, but my business started 5 years ago, Pink Sky Productions. We started out as the photo booth company and we were all things photo booth, and then moved on and started doing events and parties and taking that affordable luxury model and using it in the party and event space. And then I was able to grow it into the venue Vibe Spot that we now have, which love. I mean, genuinely people are like, oh my gosh, you do so much. I'm like, yep, this life owes me nothing. I am living my best life every day. If I want to do it, I go do it.
Yes.
And I make sure it's authentic to me. And I do things that I would want to do or that I would want to attend. I create events I'd want to attend, and then people just genuinely love them because they can feel that authenticity. So when I think about that journey and then now this podcast, I'm really cognizant of the relationships that I build along the way. and how much I support people and other entrepreneurs. Actually, the shirt that I'm wearing today is from an entrepreneur. Shop Covered by Grace is the maker of this shirt.
She's
so I
an
love
Anointed Hands Tax client.
I love it. I didn't know that. So she makes amazing shirts, and this one says "For the Kingdom," and I'm for the kingdom and the culture, because that's really me, right? It's the best of both worlds. Like, yes, I'm for the kingdom, but I'm real. Like, that's part of this whole faith empire. Like, let's have a conversation because this world still exists, and I need to reconcile the two. And so I bring that out because getting to what advice I'd want to give business owners as we kind of bring it home as a conversation. Support. Support is everything. This circle right here, this is a support circle.
Yes.
And it's so important to have not just this little support circle, but support every entrepreneur that you meet, every entrepreneur that you see.
Yes.
And I think that's the biggest thing I learned as a business owner is I showed up at a networking event last night and I was just like, okay, I'm going to see how many people I can support. How many people can I make a connection with that I can contribute with? And if you show up like that every day, you don't have to worry about what blessings are coming back to you because if you're out there pouring, God will make sure that your cup stays full so that you can keep pouring.
Yes.
So that's really the advice that I would give business owners when it comes to their faith. Have that faith and build that support community and love on people.
Yeah.
Yes. So I'd love to know, you very experienced and wise ladies, now that they've Googled you and they know you're legit because they've heard your story, what advice would you leave people with, these entrepreneurs that are battling with how do I reconcile my faith and my business and how do I show up as an entrepreneur? And Shari, I would love to start with you.
Oh boy. I feel like just going for it, just trying, just starting. Don't be afraid to change. Don't be afraid to shift. Don't get pigeonholed like in your own mind about like what you can and what you can't do. And don't be afraid to just, morph and grow, and people will grow with you. Like my teaching has shifted a lot from like, okay, let me get people through this class to, like I said, now I just feel so much more comfortable just saying what's on my heart. And, it was scary at first because sharing your beliefs like that in a public space like that, like you don't know how stuff like that's going to land. But just, knowing that that's what I needed, that's what I was feeling called to do. I was just like, let's just do it. And I feel like things are opening and blossoming and my community is so receptive to it. And so, yeah, I'm the first person to stand in my own way and think things through the ground rather than act. So I'm giving this advice because it's the advice that I need to follow the most is like, it's okay to change your mind. It's okay to, change. It's okay to just go for it and not to worry so much about like how you appear or how, it's going to be received, because like if you're doing it from your heart and it feels right, the right people will be there to support you and catch you and lift you up.
Wow. Yeah. I really love that. Oh my goodness. Your journey is just exciting. And I love how ingrained faith is in your business. That's not my journey, but I'm really excited to see how it shows up for you.
Thanks.
And as we've talked about it more on different episodes, I've really appreciated your perspective.
Thanks. It's been really great being here.
Okay. So Miss Chef Asia, what advice would you give?
Find your passion. When I first, growing up, let me just say, back up. Growing up, my passion was always writing, right? And so I was good at writing anything. You give me a subject, I can write a poem. Literally, give me a minute, I can write it. And I kept all those books, but I never did anything with it. I actually, right now, have a book that I wrote that I just need to publish on. I think I posted it all over Facebook. It's called My 4-Letter Word, right? Which is love, because so much is built upon love, right?
Thank you for clarifying.
Yes, that's my 4-letter word. It's love. So I did not do it, even though that was my passion, out of fear of what people were going to think when they read it.
Ooh.
Right. And so therefore, I did nothing but hold myself back. And, you know, I'm talking to myself, like you just said, I'm talking to myself in this because I just need to go press the button. But with cooking, you know, everybody said they liked it, so I was comfortable, right? I knew I was good at it, but I was comfortable. So what I would say to you is whatever your passion is, find your quiet space. And if you are a person of faith, talk to God and ask him to show you, right? Because just because I didn't do it back then doesn't mean that it's not my time now, right? So you have to listen and do it when the time is right for you. And don't be afraid. There's going to be naysayers that are going to say whatever. You know, I have like a lot of older people are like, is that how you make your cornbread? That's not how I make my cornbread. But you know,
Then you make your own cornbread.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I'm like, you know, you have to get to that point where you are confident with yourself. But just know not everybody's going to like your greens. You know, not everybody's going to like your macaroni and cheese, you know, or whatever. My book, they may not like it. But get to that point where you know that's your passion. That's what feeds you. And it's okay. Take whatever words they give you and use them for your fuel. So that would be my advice.
So Chef Asia, when are you going to press play on that book?
So I keep giving myself, like I keep saying, okay, the 1st, the 15th. I don't know why I keep saying pay dates, but I keep, you know, I keep saying.
It's that mortgage motivation.
Yes, that's what it is, right? So I need to push it. My journey in the military has pretty much come to an end. And so with that being said, there's other things I have to do. And a lot of my naysayers were there, right? So now I feel like I can truly, authentically be Asia.
Yeah.
Right. So with that comes a bit of peace with being able to press the button.
Yes.
So pretty soon, I'm not going to give a date, but pretty soon.
So you
look
know.
out for it.
You know, because I heard that all your haters are in the military, that we going to have a launch party at Vibe Spot when you do press play. And we're going to invite every single one of them. I want to know them by name so I can invite them personally.
Yes, ma'am. We going to do it.
Perfect. One thing you got to know about me is if I'm in your corner, I'm your biggest cheerleader.
Yes.
And so we are going to personally invite all of those folks that said that Asia couldn't do it because she can do it.
Thank you.
I have to say, my biggest advice for entrepreneurs, it would center around servant leadership.
Ooh.
Because truly the growth of my business is attributed to me serving. In every which way that I've served or decided to make it a mission to give back to the community. In return, that has helped my business grow, where it was small thinking just to give back, but it was big thinking from God in return and how he has blessed my business. So I would say servant leadership, that's huge. That's how I've grown. So many times my mentor just over the years wanted me to increase my price and stop targeting certain communities that I was targeting, you know, just telling me I wasn't going to make any money. But I'm so happy I stood firm. I continued to talk to God before talking to the mentor, so that I was listening to God, because I can honestly say that my business is where it is right now because of me serving. Even my relationship with Pink Sky Productions, you know, it came from me being a business mentor, just volunteering, giving my time. And in return, you know, Local First, AZ, I got all the We Rise mentees as clients. So center yourself around serving others. Always do things with serving in your heart. Don't think about the money. Don't think about any of that. Don't think about the benefits. Always think about how you can serve others, what you can do in your business to be of service to someone else. And if you lead your business with that in mind, you know, you'll be successful.
100%.
Yes.
Well, ladies, y'all spit some wisdom, and I'm so grateful that I had the opportunity to sit down with y'all and chat. And so thank you for being here with us today on this episode and chatting with us. So for those of y'all at home, definitely make sure that if you like this content, subscribe, make sure that we can get you more content like this and you can be a part of more conversations in the future. At the end of the day, if you're waiting to press play on whatever you're up to, now's your time. Now's your time to press play, find that support circle, make sure you embrace that servant leadership and know when you have your season of exhaustion, because it'll come. And make sure you take a step back. Don't let COVID be the reason. Don't let some big disaster or pandemic or something that prevents you from moving forward be that thing. And if you fall off of that corporate ladder, maybe that's your sign that it's your time. Thank you for coming.